How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. There were just some big rate cuts that were announced literally just in the last hour or so. There's someone within Bitcoin that's giving us breadcrumbs saying something massive is going to happen, or there's some stuff that's massive that has happened that he can't wait to tell us about. And there's a new billionaire that is talking about Bitcoin and getting rid of cash, along with just a big change up right now. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. As you can see here, Bitcoin moving up a little bit today. Maybe some buying from the ETFs. Even when the market's down, the traditional market, you can see us bouncing off of this kind of key resistance level, it looks like. Also, when you zoom out, let's actually go to the daily here. You can look at this big downtrend that we've been trying to buck for a while. And depending on how you draw it, we're actually like bouncing off of it. Now, again, like if you want to draw it like this, it looks like we fell below it. If you want to draw it like this, it seems like we're not even close to it. But kind of right in the middle, you can see it looks like maybe we are bouncing off of it. So pretty bullish. If you want to trade Bitcoin, there is a link to Margex underneath the video. They're also doing something brand new. I'm sure that you've heard of Polymarket, where you can take bets on just about anything. Well, if you go to Margex, you can actually click on this top banner, the U.S. Elections 2024, and you can go to Elections, which takes you over to this page. You can actually choose a candidate. You can bet USDT and USDC on this. I think they're actually building out a Polymarket competitor here, but you can buy these Trump tokens, Harris tokens, and you can get paid out depending on who wins. Now, depending on where you look right now, Polymarket and the betting markets are saying Trump has a much better chance of winning. Polymarket's around this too, around a 70% chance of Trump winning. If you look at polls, it looks like it's much closer, maybe even Harris winning. So if you're looking at that thinking, well, I'm going to hedge my downside a little bit with crypto, you could buy like Harris tokens. And if you're right, you get a 222% gain. Now, if you want to buy Trump tokens, since there's a much higher chance and more people are buying, betting on Trump, you get a smaller gain, but maybe it's more of a sure thing. So if you want to check this out, there's a link to it underneath the video. You can just sign up with my link and you can start trading these kinds of markets, because there are going to be more of these in the future. And to be clear, if you scroll down to the bottom, I have not bet on this yet, but it looks like after the U.S. elections, the funds will automatically be deposited into your wallet in the stablecoin you choose. But you can also, it looks like, cash out maybe ahead of time. You can cash out using the open tokens section at the table, which appears if you've purchased at least one token. So yeah, check it out if you want to, but no big deal if you don't. Now, it just came in that the Bank of Canada is cutting key rates by 50 basis points to 3.75%. So Bank of Canada cutting a significant amount. I mean, when you look at this, they were at 4.25 and they cut 50 basis points. So let's do 0.5 divided by 4.25. This is a decrease of 11.7%. Keep in mind, we were just at 5.25, I believe, and the US cut by about 9.5%. At the next rate cut, though, at the next rate meeting, it looks like we're only cutting 25 basis points. Okay, so the next Fed meeting, we're only cutting less than half of what Bank of Canada just cut, 5.2% of our rate right now. So the Fed, the US Fed, is cutting a lot less aggressively, while other countries are cutting much more aggressively, and this is causing the DXY to move up. The DXY has been moving up for about the last, month or so in a straight line. It went down to almost 100 and now is at 104. So it's up 4.5% over the last month, which does cause some risk assets to, fall down a bit. Some people look at the DXY moving up and think, maybe I don't want to be in risk assets. Maybe we're going to be in a higher interest rate environment. Now, this isn't always the case, to be clear. Like with rates coming down in the US, but them just holding up a little bit stronger versus other currencies, I think there's still that very bullish case for Bitcoin, but it might be dampened a little bit as people see the DXY move up and they think, well, usually Bitcoin doesn't do well if DXY is going up. Now, I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin, And I should say it back to this too, the betting markets. Be careful with this, just be careful. This is not the same kind of investment that like even buying Bitcoin on a low leverage long is, in my opinion. It's more risky. But moving to Jason Lowry. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he's been around in the crypto space for years. And he says that he's striving to preserve America's lead in outer space in cybersecurity. He made a full book on Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset and the ability of Bitcoin to help a nation. Now, a lot of it was very difficult to read because he is an engineer. He's very articulate. He's very bright. He uses a lot of big words. So for a lot of people, it was difficult to get through. But then it got mysteriously taken down, and he said he couldn't explain why it was being taken down, but he wasn't upset about it. And I hypothesized at the time that two things had to happen for you to be happy about something like this. You had to be right. The country that you live in is probably trying to get a hold of Bitcoin, and they don't want you to formulate, or they don't want your theory on Bitcoin as a strategic reserve to get to other countries before they bought it. So he was probably told, hey, please take this down because we're trying to get our hands on more Bitcoin. We're doing more research. Maybe we'll even pull you into the fold and ask your opinion on different things. And then two, you probably get a big payday, right? Like you probably get compensated because it was a very well-selling book at the time. So he's been kind of throwing out breadcrumbs, and he just posted, so much I wish I could say, ... one day. And there's some funny jokes in here. Most people are still trying to figure out what you've already said. That's a good one. But yeah, I think there is going to be something interesting happening in the future where he does lay out like, hey, after I publish this book, the U.S., whatever, Department of Defense or Treasury or something like that said that they want to get their hands on Bitcoin. So they asked me to take it down, and I got pulled into the fold. I've talked to several presidents, and I've talked to all these people about adding Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. And maybe by that point, we actually have Bitcoin. Maybe there's a Treasury strategy. If Trump does win, which again, the betting markets are favoring that. If Trump does win, he has said that they're going to hold on to all their current Bitcoin. Now, he didn't go out of his way to talk about buying more Bitcoin. It was kind of like a weird thing where Senator Lummis said they were going to start buying Bitcoin, but it was after Trump already walked away, so he didn't really say that he would do that. So it's just weird, but eventually we may be getting some big news, and we're kind of getting the breadcrumbs for it now. Hunter Horsley, who runs BITB or Bitwise, he says it's 2024. Paul Tudor Jones owns Bitcoin. You're not smarter than Paul Tudor Jones. I posted the video on this yesterday talking about how he's getting out of treasuries, or how he doesn't have treasuries, how he thinks you should be long gold, Bitcoin, and commodities, and the NASDAQ as well. He says it's time to ditch the I just don't understand cop out and catch up. Hunter also says, and good news as a reminder, you don't have to invest 50% of your assets. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. You can start with 1% or even 0.1% or even 0.01%. You can just get off zero. Yeah, you can just add a small amount. I guarantee you won't miss the 0.1% of your portfolio. Good point there. Just another interesting thing. I just posted a video on Michael Saylor and something that people are getting so pissed off about that he said. Later in the video, I talked about this, and I'm guessing a lot of people missed it because people aren't liking my opinion on what Michael Saylor said. So maybe they didn't make it to the end, but MicroStrategy just flipped forward. This is really cool because, this is a company that pivoted to a Bitcoin strategy 4 years ago, just over 4 years ago, and they've gained 40 billion in market cap. They've gone up over 40x in market cap over this time. Now, this is compared to a company in Ford that's been around for 121 years. It's a staple of America. Everyone has heard of a Ford, right? A Ford truck, a Ford Bronco, a Ford Mustang, a Ford GT, like all these different products that people have heard of. And I venture to guess a lot of people probably haven't heard about MicroStrategy. I actually just talked to someone really wealthy that had never heard of Michael Saylor or MicroStrategy. And he's been around the markets, been buying stocks, tech stocks for 20, 30 years. So that shows you the power of Bitcoin. In just a short time, it can make your balance sheet explode if you do it right. Jeff Park, who is a head of alpha strategies at Bitwise Invest, he says, so quick roundup, PTJ, Paul Tudor Jones, is long Bitcoin. And just to be clear, Paul Tudor Jones got a 19% annualized return over the last 4 decades. So he's outperformed the market. So people pay attention to him. Drunken Miller is short UST. Dalio sees Bitcoin as an alternative money. Howard Marks says Bitcoin and gold are equals. Bill Miller loves Bitcoin. Fink is shilling Bitcoin. So you have all these billionaires and decabillionaires buying Bitcoin, shilling Bitcoin, talking about Bitcoin. Meanwhile, Buffett, who's 94, hates Bitcoin. What else do you need to know? I think you just have to realize that a lot of billionaires, a lot of the smart money is starting to jump on Bitcoin. A lot of these guys have been in Bitcoin since last cycle, but now a lot of family offices are starting to get access to Bitcoin. A lot of individuals are starting to be able to buy Bitcoin easier through the ETFs. There will be the ability for banks to start buying Bitcoin for clients, for companies here soon. So I think we have a very bright future. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Let me know what you think about this rate cut decision by Canada. They're just slashing rates, 11% drop, pretty substantial, while the US is cutting by 25 basis points. And to be clear, 11% is just as opposed to where they are now, right? They're not cutting rates by 11%, but they're cutting rates 11% of what they're at now. Again, if you want to bet on the US election, you can check out the link to Margex underneath the video. Of course, if you want to just trade crypto, that's what I do. You can check out the link and you can still trade over on their trading terminal. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one.